Hi, this is George,
And this is Kai,
and we're here to talk about Armello.
and there will be spoilers.
So, any initial thoughts about this? You told me to play this game and to grade it. So,
Yeah. So my initial thoughts is great presentation. I love the look of this game. I love the sound of the game.
the sound, really?
I mean, well, it's like fantasy. Okay,
You
fine, maybe
you
not the
don't
sound, but
you don't actually mean audio. You just mean what it's selling.
the presentation is just great in general. Like the animations and the art. And if you want to throw in the sound, then
I'm not throwing
that
in the
too.
sound. Come on, the audio is fine.
Okay, fine. Yeah, it's fine. But anyway, my initial thoughts, great presentation, but the gameplay can be a bit frustrating.
Wow, he said it.
I said it.
I mean,
Now, granted, I've only played with the AI, and as a digital board game, uh, it makes sense that you would have more fun if you played with your friends, or at least play with uh, other live players, right? So there's a face at least
I mean,
of
you
the
say that
person or the character that you get to screw over.
with all multiplayer games. If there isn't like a human talking to you through your microphone or through voice chat where they press Shazbot go, follow me, the chat wheel, basically, like they might as well be AI.
No,
Like,
no, that's fair enough.
yeah, like if you're playing a Counter Strike or I don't know, Madden football, if if it's a human or if it's an AI playing it, like I don't feel a difference unless the player is talking to me, unless I can actually see face to face, or the players communicating like a human would communicate. Actually, there's an example in Dark Souls 2, like the AI. The AI in Dark Souls 2 is hilarious because they'll invade you and pretend to be human. They'll like emote. They'll throw around chat wheel sounds. I thought that was really nice, and they kind of got rid of that in Dark Souls 3.
Oh, that's a shame. I haven't had a chance to play Dark Souls 2 yet. I need to buy a controller to
I
do that, to
I
play that.
think it's actually the Scholar Sins of the Scholar that they added this whole like AI that felt more human than I've ever felt. They would do chat wheel sounds and it was really funny. Anyways, but they would taught me, and I was really frustrated and angry, and I thought it was really funny at the same time. But onto Armello, I've actually tried the multiplayer, and in my opinion, it was closer to the humans just make a couple of chat wheel sounds, and that's about it. It's not like a real board game where you yell at people, where you shout about trading sheep, or you talk to people about your life, or just tell them to hurry up with your turn. Like if you're missing that element, that human element, they might as well be AI. And I think if you think the multiplayer is going to be a huge upgrade, you're sorely mistaken with this game.
Wait, so there is no chat. There is no chat at all
I
in the
don't.
multiplayer.
I'm not super sure. This game was, to give a little backstory of this game. It's made by an indie like Australian company, and I think the fact that they're sort of new at this game making business really shows. Yeah, it was originally for like iPad, so I don't know
Oh,
why,
okay.
but perhaps iPads aren't the best communication devices for microphones, and so I don't think there is a microphone support. At least nobody used it in my game, and of course, if nobody else uses microphone, it might as well be nobody can use a microphone
Right.
because you're not going to just talk to nobody. You have to talk to other people with microphones. But there was chat wheel sounds. I know that, and lots of
Okay.
disconnecting because I don't think there's a real penalty to just dropping out of the game when things are not looking good,
Right. Right.
and they'll get replaced by AI. So my impression of this game is that this game is terrible. So let's give it a score. Kai, are you familiar with our scoring system?
Yeah, I believe it's just thumbs up, down, and sideways.
Are you just reading the show notes?
No, I am not. I
Okay.
am not. I read it before. I read it beforehand. So, um, uh, actually, I'll go. I'll go ahead and give my score. I want to give it somewhere close, somewhere between a sideways and a thumbs down. Like
What? A
like
sideways thumbs down?
yeah. So basically, like a 45-degree to from the bottom,
Oh my god.
right? So not quite bad. Like I think I think
This
for
guy.
me for me um I love board games, and it's just and I love screwing other people over in board games, right? This game, there are many opportunities to screw people over, which I love. However, um my impression is only with playing with the AI. So that might influence my score a bit, mainly because I haven't had any interactions with other human players. Maybe it might change if we get a group together to play the game. But yeah, so I'm willing to give it a bit the benefit of the doubt. That's why I have a midway
You're holding out
sideways
hope.
down. More or
Damn.
less, yeah.
You just converted my scoring system from 3 stars to like 180 points. Like sorry, 180 points because you can be from like 0 degrees straight down or like 180 degrees straight up. That's what you've done, Kai.
Okay, fine. If you needed me to be black and white, then I'll give it a thumbs down. Yes.
There we go, Kai. You just gave it a 0 degree score. All the
Yeah.
way down. It can't even get lower. So I agree. I would give it a thumbs down, and I'm not holding out hope. Maybe if we two play together, but if we're playing together, we're probably just gonna spend our entire game fighting each other, not trying to win.
Speaking of that, actually, that's actually one of the problems I had with the game. Um, but actually, do we want to describe the game a little bit
Yeah,
and
sure.
give a yeah.
The art is pretty beautiful. I'll concede that point. It basically looks like Redwall. There's a bunch of anthropomorphic animals who dress in clothes for some reason, and they're more or less humans. They have wants, they have needs. You can go around, and it's very much a board game. So, what's the gameplay like, Kai?
So the gameplay is, I want to say it's like it's kind of like a mixture of King of Tokyo, like particularly with the combat, right? Where when the goal of the game is to try to take over the king at the center of the map.
My God,
Now,
if this game had the like same fight mechanics as King of Tokyo, that would be so much better.
I agree. You know, yeah, definitely.
Like same with The Witcher too. Actually, damn, everyone should just
Yeah, the
copy.
Witcher board game. Yeah,
Everyone
yeah,
should just
that,
copy King of Tokyo. Basically, is what we're trying to get at.
yeah. No, I agree. So the goal of the game is to defeat the king, or at least, uh, you have to meet up with the king in the middle of the map, and do something with him. Either you kill him, or you heal him, or something, and you win the game that way. So it's a turn-based um, strategy board game. I think there are hexagons as tiles, and you get to move around each tile, and you get well. There's actually a lot of mechanics and systems in here. Yeah,
I think
it's gonna take a while to explain it.
I think
but,
it's pretty simple to summarize. It's basically a turn-based RPG where you just kind of hop around this tiny little board, do quests, level up, and then eventually you either kill the king or just have enough prestige that you get named the next king when he happens to fall ill and die.
Yeah, more or less. That's a great way to describe it. It's just a turn-based RPG, and trying to come at the king.
You best not miss. And I've missed before, believe
Heyo.
me. Like, oh my god. Actually, the one multiplayer game I tried, I basically tried to kill the king, and the second place guy who had the most prestige basically killed me. and that was it. Like I only had one shot, one opportunity. Or either that, or I just kept getting
Yeah.
repelled by the gates.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, let's talk about. Yeah, let's talk more about the gameplay actually. As part of our likes and dislikes. Um, so let's get the likes out of the way first, right? So I think we both agree that the game has great presentation, particularly the art,
Okay.
and that's
And,
it.
yeah, man. Okay. There aren't that many likes beyond the art. I like the art. I like board games. I don't like this board game. And judging it as a game, I don't particularly like it. Judging it as a board game, I still don't particularly like it.
Hmm.
So there isn't that much to like about this game for me. Like if I wanted to watch something beautiful, I could have watched a movie.
Right. Okay.
Do you have any likes?
Alright,
I'm just
so
gonna move straight to dislikes at this point.
no, really, it's just really the art and presentation for me.
Oh my god,
That's
guy.
it. That's really it.
You were just sold by the art.
Whoa, I gotta tell you, man, I have a hard on for medieval fantasy stuff. So
Yeah, you don't want to play Mountain Blade? Is it too accurate? Is not enough fantasy?
I'm willing to give it a shot again, but I just need to be in the right mindset.
Wow, okay. I'm gonna cut out that last part. I'm just kidding. What I dislike about this game is that a main core problem of this board game, I'm gonna like attack this game from like a board game design perspective. And this game has turns in the traditional sense where I take my turn, I don't really do anything on anybody else's turn. And that's really annoying because the gameplay basically stops every time it's not your turn. And lots of board games try to get around this. You know, Settlers of Catan, every turn you can produce stuff. Every turn you can trade stuff. Not every turn you can build stuff in some rules, but the rules I like is that every turn you can build stuff. All right. Every other rule where you can't build stuff when it's not your turn is a terrible rule.
I think there are cards, or so one of the mechanics in the game has to do with cards.
Yeah, you
right,
can
that you draw each turn.
you can definitely
Right.
play cards.
I think there are cards that you can play on your opponent's turn. That's actually one of the that's one of the things I sort of don't like about the game.
Yeah,
like, or
it's
maybe that's just because I don't have enough experience with the cards. But basically, there is a also there are some cards where they're basically trap cards that you
Uh-huh.
can place on a tile on your opponent's turn, or you can place on your opponents during their turn. I believe. I think I've tried that once before, but
sort of. That's sort
or
of
am I
how it
mistake?
works.
Or was I mistaken?
There are trap cards, you're right.
Yeah.
I think you can play trap cards directly on people. I think it depends on the card more than uh than anything else. There are trap cards, you can play them. Actually, I haven't tried that recently. Never mind. Maybe I'm mistaken. I thought you can only play trap cards on empty tiles. And then there are certain cards that just say, attack another player with damage. And those obviously you play directly on
Yeah.
people.
Right. Right. No, but yeah. I only realized that when after I beat after I beat one round, I unlocked a fast forward button on my opponent's turn, but then there's a little note that said you don't want to fast forward too much because like there are things you can do on your opponent's turn or something to that effect.
Don't worry about
Like,
that.
you need to be attentive.
You can definitely beat this game without paying attention to what other people do. There's the second problem with this game where you don't really have any choice of player agency. You're basically, the game is playing you. You're not playing the game. You're just a pawn on the chess piece, and you don't have like any meaningful decisions really.
Yeah, I agree with that. So one of my complaints actually is, at least with playing with the AI, each player, I think up to 4 players, they all spawn or they all start off in a corner of the map, right?
Okay.
And the AI, they tend to stick to their own corner or like at least their own half of the corner.
Oh.
So it's between that and then there are these creatures called Banes that basically camp at a spot and they may attack you at adjacent spots depending. And then there are these other AI creatures called guards that patrol the map, and they may attack you depending if you're no, they may attack you depending on certain circumstances. But basically, I found it very difficult to reach the other side of a map. Like if there's a quest on the other side of the map, between fighting other players, fighting Banes, or guards, or being screwed by perils or traps. Yeah, it wasn't a really fun time for me. Like just trying to make my trek across the map, just to get a quest and gain some prestige to win the game.
Yeah, well, the thing is, even if everything goes right, like I still didn't have fun trekking across the map. If everything went wrong, it was slightly more interesting than, me just walking across this more or less empty zone that is Armello. So I would actually like to compare this game to a couple other, RPGs where you have this map and you have a little pawn that you move around that represents yourself. There's a game called Arkham Horror, Eldritch Horror, and Tales of the Arabian Nights. And it's called Tales of the Arabian Nights. Yeah, that's it actually. Well, that's the entire title. And these are all games where it's like more story based, I feel, than it is like you're trying to make decisions that meaningfully cause you to win. Because if you're not gonna be a strategic board game, you might as well be an interesting board game.
Right. Although I've never played any of those games.
Wow.
I have heard of
I
Arkham
swear.
Horror, and I do know.
I swear you played Arkham Horror once.
No,
Yes.
I
yes.
did not.
Come
I
on.
did.
Did you play it?
No. I did not. I think I played. Oh no, I played what was it? I played Pandemic
Oh, okay.
with Kenny
Yeah, that's
Bob.
a good game actually. It's actually a pretty strategic game. So it's trying to be a strategic game, not really an interesting story game.
Right. Um.
Actually,
But anyway,
sorry, I just remembered the what's it called? The stereotypical story game. It's called House on the Hill. It's called Haunted House on the Hill.
Betrayal
Yes.
on House on the Hill, right?
Yes, that's what it's called.
That's the game I played.
Yeah, that game is, in my opinion, is not very strategic because you're essentially just exploring around randomly and hoping good things happen to
Right.
you.
Yes, I agree.
but it is still like an interesting game because there's that story element. There's a little bit of exploration and discovery, and the writing is pretty interesting as well. It's actually just fun to write, to read the quest lines and stuff. Whereas this game, I did not feel compelled at all, or even rewarded for completing any of the quests.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, there's definitely there is no narrative, really. It's just uh, click on the quest or the things that pump
Yeah.
up the stats that you want,
Yep.
and then right.
Like the 100% of the quests are, there's a quest, go to this location. That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
I've
That's
actually
it.
I've actually noticed that there's actually a little bit of a skill check whenever you complete a quest, but depending on the items you have, you might not have to do the skill check.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I
That-
don't remember because it's been so rare since I've actually made it to a quest.
I actually do all the quests, man. The quests are easy level ups.
Hmm.
And then that's actually similar to Tales of Arabian Nights. So in Tales, you trek across like all of Eurasia, and just kind of go around hoping good things happen to you. Honestly, but you can
Okay.
actually level up, which is pretty interesting, because when you level up, you can travel further. That's so so nice because the map is huge. It's all of Europe plus some parts of India, China, Japan, and North Africa.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, and the main mechanic of Tails is that whenever you land somewhere, they take like the time of day where you landed, and then they compile that into like page 55 of this giant book, and they say, "Haha, a genie has encountered you" or something. Based on the fact that where you are and what time of day. And then
Okay.
to add on top of that, you have this giant list of actions you can do. Like you can drink, you can charm, you can deceive, you can run, you can fight. Like basically, yeah, you're given a list of actions you can do, and then you tell the person, "I want to drink," or something, and then they go to another page of the book, and then they basically say what happens to you after you chose your action.
Right. Okay. Okay. So it's sort of like a choose your own adventure ish
Yeah, like
type of thing where
it's trying to tell an
it's
interesting
yeah, it's
story.
predetermined, but yeah, you can get there however you. I
Yeah,
see.
yeah, it's actually, I think that was really fun. Even though I had no agency in what was happening to me, uh,
Right.
it was still fun. It was still fun to read it. It was still fun to joke around with my friends. And if you also get skills, so like if you're good at sailing, you might be you might avoid a bad encounter because the result is determined by what you choose plus whatever skills you have. So if you have the right skill, you might get a better what's it called, result.
Right. Right.
So, but Armello doesn't do that. It doesn't tell an interesting story. It doesn't, like the single player tutorial. I like that way more than the actual game.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. No. Yeah. Definitely, the tutorial was nice. Yeah, and you get to play the 4 different type of character archetypes. Yeah. At least that was interesting. At least that was definitely interesting. And then their narrative, the tutorial surrounding them was interesting because you get to see how to best utilize each character's skills and traits. Yeah, I agree. That was nice. The prologue.
Yeah. And then so let's talk about the combat of Armello. The way it works is that you roll a bunch of 6-sided die, right? And how many die you roll is determined by your fight, which is just a stat like strength. And then
Right.
so let's pretend I roll 5 6-sided die, and then there's gonna be attacks, blocks, and explosions. Alright, so attacks literally just do damage to the enemy. So if I roll 3 attacks, that means I do 3 damage to you. Block prevents that damage, and then explosions literally count as a damage, and then you roll the dice again.
Right.
And this dice combat was very boring. Maybe it would have been more interesting with real dice, because then you get that like gambler sensation. But when you're in the digital space, you just don't get that, and it suddenly becomes a lot more important to have an interesting mechanic than it does to have dice. You can't just throw dice into a game, basically. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, no, I agree. At least they made some efforts to spice up the randomness. So in the comment, there's a card burning mechanic where if you want to guarantee that one of your dice is of a particular symbol, you can burn or basically sacrifice one of the cards in your hand. There's a symbol at the top right corner of the card that displays some whatever symbol that whatever you burn it, that's what's gonna appear on your dice. So at least you do have opportunities to influence the outcome, like directly influence the outcome of your dice roll. But I do agree, like just the randomness of it all. Oh, so there's 6 sides, right? There's attack, defense. There's sun, which gives you an attack only if it's during the daytime.
Yep.
If it's the nighttime, you don't get anything. And then there's moon, which is you get an attack if it's dusk,
Yep.
and none if it's day. And then there's rot, which is basically a miss. And
Well, actually,
and then there's the explosion.
rot actually counts as an explosion if you're fully corrupted. If you have
If you're
5
corrupted.
rot,
Yeah,
and
that's
an
right.
explosion stops counting as explosion, which is really stupid.
Yeah, yeah, let's oh, we can get into rot later. But
It's not a
yeah,
very
so at
interesting
least
mechanic.
I I do appreciate that the dice mechanic, at least they tried to spice it up with you being able to equip items that influence your combat. Like
Yeah.
some items they give you predetermined like attack dice or defense dice or something like that, and you get to burn cards to further influence your your outcome. But I think the thing that I really would hope for is having the ability to re-roll your dice. That's that's something I really loved in King of Tokyo. As simplistic as that game is,
it's
uh,
Yahtzee. If you ever heard of that.
yeah, the re-rolling, it's fun because yeah, you get that that gambler's mindset like, oh, am I gonna do better? Am I gonna do better? I hope I can do better,
Yeah.
right? Or did I just screw myself over, right? So at least that is exciting to be able to play to your chances,
Yeah, and
right?
like the whole re-rolling dice can also be done with cards. There's some card games where you draw a card and then discard a card, or discard a card and draw a card. That's basically re-rolling that card you just drew.
Right, right. Oh, actually, at least there's a mechanic in here where you're at the start of your turn. A turn is part day and part night, so it's 2 rounds. Your turn is I'm sorry, a round is 2 turns. One turn during the day and one turn during the night. Um, I think every round, you refill your hand with by drawing cards
Yeah,
from
at the start of dawn,
from three
basically.
decks, right? Yeah, so you have some incentive to play your cards and not hold on to them. Like basically,
Definitely.
you just burn them, like just burn them, like just because, or because you can't even use them
I mean, they're
that
all
round
useless.
anyway.
Don't worry. The new cards you draw will also be useless.
But yeah, no, I agree. I didn't find the combat too engaging, even though they had that RPG mechanics where you equip stuff that influence your outcome, like how oh, never mind. I don't want to compare it to D&D, but
I mean, it is D&D basically, because you roll dice to attack people, and then you know, you you take damage, which is just a number, and you have equipment.
right. Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah. And the equipment they influence your stats, which influence your die roll at the end. Your
yeah,
ultimate die roll at the end. Yeah.
yeah, and because this it fell in this game, there's particularly no strategic element to it. Like they should not have copied the D&D combat. D&D combat is probably the worst part of D&D. Yeah, I think an easy improvement would have been like, hey, if you roll a certain die, like let's say you roll a rot and you don't want a rot, that means you could just what if you could just burn a rot card to re-roll that rot? That would have been so much easier because then your cards become resources when you fight, rather than these useless things that you don't want in your hand. You don't want to play them because any new card, any effect it has, is useless, and you don't want to draw new ones because anything you draw is also useless. Because that's what I felt about the cards.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's no way to really like discard the card. At least I haven't found out any way to discard the cards if you don't need them, other than burning them in combat. But even then, you might not want to burn them in combat because if you need 6 attack and you need to burn cards, then well, and your cards don't have the attack symbol, then well, you're kind of screwed, right?
Yeah.
Like
Well, honestly,
I do agree with your improvement. Yeah.
I just found burning cards to be a waste of time. Honestly, because at the near the end game, you really have like 8 or 9 dices dice and maybe 3 to 4 relevant cards in your hand that you can burn. Well, there's no point in improving odds slightly. Just roll the stupid dice and get it over with.
I at least I was the 3 games that I played, I was never able to get to 9 dice.
Okay.
But yeah.
It's just pointless, man. If they added dice, that would be also pretty interesting. Because actually, Pathfinder the Adventure card game, it has a very similar, card mechanic with dice. All right, so they're typically in Pathfinder you roll like 5, 6, 12-sided dice. So the variance is really high, but you have a lot of dice to counteract that. And
Right.
there's a specific card where you can add a dice to your roll. So like you can discard it and burn it and say, haha, I have an extra dice. Or you can keep it, and when the roll result happens, you can just burn it to re-roll a dice. Actually, you re-roll all of your dice. You don't just re-roll one of them. So that's pretty powerful. Do you want a better roll in general, or do you want to re-roll the entire thing? But you can't do both.
Right. Okay, yeah, so there's actually that actually becomes a meaningful choice.
And
But, yeah.
to make it even more complicated, there's a third choice where you can burn it to move again, to explore again, basically. Exploring in that game would basically be Armello's movement mechanic. So there's so many options, basically. But in this game, it felt like there was only one useless option. Burn the card or play the card. Either way, it did nothing. Either way, it felt like it was pointless. You just wasted your time. And like, because you get the cards for free, there's no weight to doing anything with them. If you keep them in your hand, who cares? They're not going to do anything in your hand. If you don't play them, that doesn't matter. If you play them, it still doesn't matter. Nothing matters in this game. You just have no agency.
Yeah,
You're just a pawn.
Pure randomness.
You're just a pawn on the chessboard.
So let's actually compare it to some other games. Yeah, so let's go to the Witcher board game,
Oh,
right? I mean, I gotta go to it because I love The Witcher, and
did you like the Witcher board game?
I hate to say it, but I did not.
I wanted to like it.
Yeah, I wanted to like it too, because it's basically just pure randomness as well, and even worse, there is no player interaction in that game whatsoever, other
Yeah.
than you landing directly on a player, and I think you get to swap quests or something like that.
Yeah, very
there's some
little.
sort of trade. Yeah, but it's been a long time. But like, what are the odds of you landing in the same spot as someone else? It's really rare, and
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, that Witcher board game also has the rolling dice mechanic, except in that game, once you roll, like, that's it. There's nothing else that influences your
Yeah.
roll.
Like, It honestly has the exact same problems as Armello, and I feel like you only played Armello in the hopes that it would fix the Witcher board game.
yes.
Like, here's an example of how to do it right. Kai, we could make a board game. There's nothing stopping us. We have cards.
Yeah.
We have a board.
That's an option.
We live somewhat close to each other. Why don't we
That's
just
true.
go together and hash out a board game real quick? And we'll show them all.
It's interesting because designing a board game is different than designing a video game, right? Because they're just two different contexts. One, you play with your friends or you play with other people. There's that
There's that human
social
element. Yeah.
interaction. Yeah, that you keep in mind. That's why screwing people over in the real board game, like, you get to see their reactions. You get to
Wow.
like bluff.
Remind me not to play diplomacy with you.
Yeah, there are those little nuances, that social interactions in the board game that you don't quite get with a video game. So I would be interested in exploring that.
There's actually a hormone. I forget what it's called. It might be oxytocin. So oxytocin is the social bond, the social hormone. Like anytime you touch somebody and you actually like that person, you'll generate oxytocin. If you if you touch somebody and you don't like that person, you'll actually just hate them more. And this hormone is basically, hey, try to work with people and try to enjoy other people, or else you're just gonna be a hermit. And
Okay.
yeah, so like it's not like this weird psychological trick. It's literally biological that you will, if you meet with people you somewhat like, and then the board game is a great context for that, then you'll actually start to enjoy those people more.
Guess you can explain the magic of board games with oxytocin, right?
The
biology. It makes sense.
The magic of other humans. Why do we enjoy other humans? What a mystery.
Well, but yeah, going back to the Witcher board game. Yeah, that game it's just pure randomness. At least Armello is a step up from the Witcher board game. I hate
Arguably,
to say
I'm not so sure if it's step up, man.
fine. It could be a step sideways, but at least it does more things.
It's another shot at it.
Yeah, it's another shot at.
It still
yeah,
failed.
That's right. Yeah, I hate to say it, but
Speaking
Yeah.
of board games that do this whole, dice rolling thing, there's a game called Bang, the card game.
okay. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's basically the same thing, right? Like you just play cards, but unlike Armello, they just do exactly what they say. If you play a sword, you're gonna hit somebody unless they play a shield, and then that's it. Like they just straight up took out the dice rolling, and you just draw dice basically. So if you think this game would be better if it just did that.
So let me. It's been a while since I played Bang. From what I remember, let's see. You draw one card per turn. Or no, you draw two cards per turn, right?
No, actually, you draw up, I think, to your hand size.
At the end of, or at the beginning of your turn.
Yeah, I think it's at the beginning. It might be at the end. Not super sure. I remember. It's probably at the beginning. So
No, yeah, it's probably at the beginning because at the end you have to discard down to your hand size. I
Oh,
remember
you're
that
right.
much.
You're right. Okay. Yeah. And then your hand size is linked to your health, which is so the less health you have, the less you can draw block cards.
Right. Then you're. Yeah, it's like
It's a
it's
vicious cycle.
up or cycle. Yeah, exactly.
You
Right.
can't really cycle up because it's like impossible to get help in that game.
Right.
You can get stronger, but you can't get more health.
Right. The most you can do is heal.
Yep.
But yeah.
You can return back to where you started, which is most likely more than where you are right now.
Yeah. So I'm trying to remember the rate at which you go through the rate at which you go through cards in Bang. I don't quite remember, but I can tell you that in Bang it can be more vicious because you only have one life to live, and other people can gang up on you,
Mm-hmm.
and like everyone has like maybe on average 3 or 4 health, right? So each bang is extremely valuable, and each miss equally as valuable. In Armello,
Who cares? There's no consequence for dying.
yeah, exactly. There's no consequence. For
The only
dying.
consequence is that you still have to play.
I mean, well, see, there's a win condition in Armello where if the king dies from rot,
He dies.
if you're infected,
Oh, yeah.
you lose 1 health every turn or every round rather. So, if the king dies from rot, or if a person who defeats the king, if they both die, then the person with the most prestige points, they win the game. So basically, if you die, you lose 1 prestige. So that's really the only. That's the downside of dying, but in reality, like,
It's not a big deal.
yeah, it's not a big deal because the prestige victory is incredibly like you either unless if no one else takes the initiative to go after the king, then that's your shot at winning. but that most likely isn't gonna happen. So winning via prestige is really not worth it. It's really worthless
That's
unless you can
actually
play your cards right.
that's actually the easiest way for me to win when I was playing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like it was just like, oh, the king just died for no reason because nobody can get to the king. Getting to the king is like, I swear to God, is impossible.
Yeah.
The
With the
gates,
perils.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the perils in this game are you roll a dice, and if you match what the peril says, then you win. You beat the peril. You get nothing. But if you lose, you suffer a random penalty, usually dictated by the card. And the perils I do not like at all. Needless to
Yeah.
say, they make getting to the king like obnoxiously difficult. And
Yes.
even if you get to the king, other people can still attack you. So that's basically what happened in my multiplayer game. I got to the king, and I didn't miss. I just got killed by somebody else who was the prestige leader.
Right, right. Because once you enter the palace, your turn ends. Right, you have no more moves,
Yeah,
and someone else can react to you getting in there. So
I
that's
I actually
you're
think that
doubly screwed.
I think the turn ending is fine, but I still think it's obnoxiously difficult to beat that peril. It's just so annoying to get to the king. If you do all the quest line, if you complete your quest line, you actually get a key to the city, and you can just go inside and meet the king for free, without.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
actually why I do the quest because of that.
Okay, so I didn't actually know. Yeah, I didn't know that was actually a thing. Like,
Don't worry,
it's-
other people can still attack you. The AI in this game, by the way, the AI in this game is not that great. So I'm surprised you're not winning like every game because I almost always did. I basically
Oh,
stopped
really?
trying. It was just
Oh,
too
wow.
easy.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
We can play a game of Armello and we'll find out. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say about Armello. It's just not that great of a game. And if you're looking for good board games, there's plenty on Board Game Geek. There's board games where you're a rancher. There's board games where you're trains, anything related to trains, honestly. There's Dominion. There's Settlers of Catan. There's got to be something. There's even dice rolling games like King of Tokyo. So if you want good quality board games, there's plenty of board games out there. There's even some, card games like Magic. There's, there's actually Netrunner. That's a pretty good game.
I'm interested in the other digital board game competitors, right? Like specifically digital board games.
Oh, really?
Because I'm curious how other people translate that board game experience into the digital realm, right? If they can do it even successfully.
Um, I mean, Armello was never a board game because it would probably fail as a board game. But I can name a couple. Talisman, have you heard of that?
I have not.
Talisman is a terrible board game. It's like from the 70s. It's like Candyland, except it's an RPG. That's got a digital remake only because like people are nostalgic for it. I don't think it's a great game at all. There's Pathfinder,
okay.
the adventure card game. That's a fine game. There's Board Game Simulator. There's Hearthstone, which is just a game as a board game. It was never made into a digital board game. Or sorry, it was never made into an actual board game. All right, tune in next time. See you later.
Outro you can do alone, right? But
I could do the outro alone. Is that what you're saying? Just
I have nothing to pimp or nothing, no shout outs.
Wow, okay. Well, tune in next time for us to review more video games. It's undecided thanks to Kai. You can always reach me on Twitter. My handle is at Mr. Jaggers. You can also reach us by email at GandCgamecorner@gmail.com. As always, links provided in the show notes.